Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Golden Nuggets podcast. My name is Nazreen and I have Amir as the main host of the show. Today we have a special guest, that I've just met him earlier on, but we've talked a lot about many other stuff, mental issues and podcasting and about speaking gig with people like Gary Vee. So me reading the LinkedIn right now, I'm just describing his profile, celebrity whisperer. Interesting. And he's a podcaster of the Legacy Show. Legacy. And he's a speaker as well. And he helped business professionals build relationships and strengthen alliances. Let's welcome Rayson Choo. Welcome, brother.
All right.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you so much for inviting me over to the Golden Nuggets podcast. I've heard about you guys probably last year or 2 years back, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, so I heard from this guy called Vicky Vaswani.
Vicky.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We have to thank him, huh?
Yeah. He was like introducing me to your podcast. I was like looking at it. It's like, oh wow, you guys are doing something different, but similar as what my podcast is about, which is more on entrepreneurship, about the niche that they have, and in a whole, in a sum.
Right.
So I was like, wow, and then I was listening to it. I was watching it. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. This is
Similar
really good.
vibe, huh?
Similar vibe.
Yeah.
And I love it.
But how we are different is you are already global. We are still local.
It took me a while though.
Okay.
It took me a while. I started the podcast in 2017.
Okay.
With just one guest a month.
And
And then slowly it grew to, say, once a week.
Okay.
Sometimes
Okay.
can be twice
Okay.
or three or twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah.
Twice a week. Wow, that means what? 12 guests a month?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we have that amount. But then because I kind of get burnt out because of that, right?
Yeah.
So I reduce it to lesser.
Right.
Like probably like
One or two.
a week kind of
Yeah.
thing. Because we have a lot of people, a lot of inbound emails, and some people who are in some group chat that I'm in that actually took interest in my podcast, and they want to be appearing on the podcast side by side with all these great names, right? Like Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, David Meltzer, and all the other people.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And even yesterday, there are people who are emailing me.
Yeah.
Hey, I love your podcast. I listen to the Legacy Show. I would like to introduce you to this person or introduce myself as a guest. So I have been doing a lot of American or overseas kind of guests.
Right.
Yeah.
So that means they volunteer.
Yes, without me asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so a bit about your background, because you have a very interesting background.
Yes.
Similar but a bit different, because yours is a different specialty, mine is a different specialty. So share about a bit of your background. What do you do before starting the podcast and even up till today?
Oh yeah, sure. So up to today and before the podcast, I'm a psychiatric nurse in practice. So sometimes I would like to call myself like, the Iron Man or Batman of nursing in a sense,
Okay.
right? Because I get to not just see the worst case scenario in the in the hospital itself, but also at the same time I get to see the people who are living their life, like driving their Lambos, wearing really nice watches and
that's true.
whatsoever. So what I do is I'm a psychiatric nurse in practice, and also at nighttime or off day, I'm a podcaster / influencer.
Nice.
I mean, there's this taboo thing within our industry about moonlighting, right? How does your supervisors react to the fact that you have been doing this since 2017?
They I would say
Okay, sorry,
they were.
First of all, do they even know about it?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
They do. But of course, they did ask me to sign a contract with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to actually say that, hey, if you were to earn X amount outside, you got to give us 30%.
Seriously?
Serious?
Yes, but then again, I wouldn't,
disclose your earnings.
Yeah, disclose in a sense.
Wait, but can they even do that?
Well, I did sign a paper back then, and I was quite naive or like I thought like the hospital, since the hospital has been giving me so many opportunities, like having me on Straits Times and so many other platforms as well. Since I first entered the hospital, in a sense, in 2014. So I joined the hospital June 2014. October, I was being featured on Straits Times.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was really blessed, really grateful for this amazing opportunity from the Copscom. But this lady is no longer around. She has left the company. So yeah, I was like really, really blessed. And of course, this was something that we had back then. And so that was like 2018.
Is the contract still like valid?
I have no idea because no one asked me about it. But of course, sometimes they will ask me, "Hey, do you earn?" I said no.
To put it on record, guys, podcasters, we don't really earn much.
Actually, we don't earn much. Like we earn sponsorships, like free products, and then we get free products. But of course, there are certain things that are paid for, and inviting you over to eat whatsoever. Those are paid for. But of course, on the record, certain things it's free.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So it's not easy to be an influencer as well. I've seen so many people who have been influencers and they are only just getting free food, free items. And when I asked them, "Are you paid?" and then they said, "No." I was like, "What?" Or they are paid peanuts.
Yes.
Like probably $50 for a meal, and then plus probably some other stuff. Free products, for example, and things like that. So, but I'm blessed. Like I surpassed that. I've surpassed that for this, and also at the same time, podcasting. I would say that I wasn't earning any money at all back then. 2017, I was like,
you're just starting out, right?
I don't know how to earn back then, like literally. And this guy, he's a digital marketer. His name is Gabriel Wong. So yeah,
who doesn't know Gabriel?
Of course, man. He was telling me during our episode together, and then after the episode, he was telling me, "Hey, do you know that there's so many leakages in your podcast business?" I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And then he was like telling me, "Hey,
funnels,
funnels, because he's a huge funnel guy, right?
Yep.
He joined the inner circle of Russell Brunson as well.
Click funnels.
And he spent like 6 figures to join the inner circle, right? And back then I was like, wow. He was telling me stuff that I couldn't think of anything of how to earn, rather than other than being a speaker, being a coach, for example, which I earned some, but apparently it just kind of stopped for a while because I had personal issues. My ex cheated on me, so so I was like devastated. I was like, I wouldn't be able to concentrate on building that. And at first I was building, there was some consistency and money is coming in. Then after that, poof, I just couldn't focus, and I said, okay, I stopped, I paused for a while. And then after that, it took me a while. When I make a comeback, it was so tough. And I was like, okay, never mind. It's all right. I will not do speaking coaching first. Let me focus on what I'm good at, which is podcasting.
Nice.
Yeah. So I just kept on focusing on it. And then one day, 2020, just nice, I had a knee fracture at work. And then
what
that was
HL, 2 months.
more than that. Yeah, I think it was about 3 months.
Oh, nice.
So it was a work
Everything's
injury. Yeah, it was paid.
Paid
it was
HL.
Paid. Yeah, paid HL. So that time I was so free, right? So bored as well. So I happened to interview a few of my guests, and then some of them actually asked me, "Hey, do you want to co-author books?" And then I was like, sure, why not? I have nothing to do, right? So I was really grateful that during that period of time, I managed to co-author a couple of books.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, one of them was one of the how do I put it? Was a USA bestseller.
Oh,
yeah, USA Today bestseller. So it was like, wow, I was so.
What's the title of that book?
The Younger Self Letters. You guys can check it out.
Younger Self Letters.
Younger Self Letter. Okay.
Yeah, can check it out. Younger Self Letters. And also, then after that, I also did some interesting stuff with some speakers as well. We conducted lessons. We conducted classes on how you can connect, network, and even collaborate with people like Gary Vee and all these other people, because back then everyone was like curious, hey, how can a nurse or a brand new podcaster able to interview the likes of Gary Vee and all these other people, right? And I was like, okay, why not just do something? And people were like feeding me. I'm really grateful, like Vicky and so many other people that want me to be successful in this niche. So they have been like feeding me, golden nuggets to actually golden try nuggets. Out. Yeah, golden nuggets, right? So they fed me a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And I tried, didn't make it, didn't work out. Some yes, some no. And then I was like, okay, let's just focus on podcasting again. And then after that, 2 years ago, I was really grateful that Grant Cardone and his team actually reached out to me and then said, hey, we have the Great American Speak Off, which is something like American Idol, but it's a speaking format.
Wow.
Yeah, so they have this speaking competition every time at 10X GrowthCon. So they asked me, hey, do you want to be our judge? Guest judge. So I was like, wow, them grateful. So I became the guest judge, and then I was like literally 2-3 a.m. Watching the whole thing, and I happened to see a few familiar faces, like Sean Cannell from Think Media, and then Halataha from Young and Profiting Podcast. So I managed to liaise with them and then ask them, hey, I would love to have you on the show. And then they said, hey, yeah, sure, why not? But of course, Hala is different because she is more like a very number-centric person. Yeah, so she said, okay, you tell me how many listeners, how many people, or whatsoever. And then after that, she'll determine whether she wants in or out. Because back then, I did help her out with a podcast back then, like to reach out to people. Because I did a pro bono to join, and I wanted to understand how she ran her business. So I said, okay, let's do something back then. And then I joined, and then, after that, I got to learn so much about how she did it. And of course, she had a script back then, which was like, hey, I have this person and this person, and we have millions of listeners. But back then, it's not really millions. It's just a number that she said so that, she
sell.
can get, to sell, right? Yeah, so the same stuff. And no one will actually check on your numbers.
No one will ask. Multi-million-dollar podcasters.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
So this was my journey for podcasting, which I was grateful. Because way back in 2014, that was the time when I needed some inspiration and motivation. Because, like I mentioned to you guys before the podcast, I was actually in a Japanese clinic, right? So I worked there for a few months, and I had toxic relationship. I couldn't concentrate again, right? Relationship issues. So I was not mature enough, so I couldn't focus at work. And then after that, I got fired. And literally, like Vince McMahon, you're fired. So I was fired, and I was damn sad, and I needed to motivate myself. So I started to listen to podcasts. So I listened to Lewis Howes, The School of Greatness, and Joel Brown's Addicted to Success. So I was like listening to it, and then I was thinking to myself, hey, if these guys can do it, why not me? Because I saw Lewis Howes in the private jet of Tony Robbins. So I was like, wow, damn, this guy is so cool, man. And back then, 2014, Lewis Howes was a newcomer. He wasn't somebody yet. And I was like, okay, so if this guy can do it, why not me, right? So after I was so focused on my hospital stuff, and I went for advanced dip in 2017. After that, I finished it. And then I told myself, hey, it's time. It's really time for
full time.
Yeah, to actually go head on. And then I was really grateful and really blessed that my first guest was one of the known speakers in the region. His name was Andrew Chow. Yeah, so I was like, I went for his book launch, and I said, hey, I would like to interview you, and it's my first episode. Would you like to be a guest where we can talk about your book? And I said, yeah, sure. And I said, okay, wow, okay.
Cool.
I was so grateful.
I mean, it's easy because we are kind of like their PR what is it called, like a strategy, right?
Yes,
because like ultimately, if they were to engage on a PR house, it will cost them like tens of thousands of dollars. And this is something that Grant Cardone or even Gary Vee, they understand from the start that for us to reduce the cost and for us to show people that, hey, you can actually run a business at a very low cost. You can do your own PR run at a very low cost through podcasting. That's the reason why I feel they are very open to being on podcasts from the start.
Yeah. And
like, is this something that they shared to you?
no, they didn't share me much about this because back then they were here in Singapore as well, right? So they wanted to be known. And somehow or other, a lot of people in the personal development industry in Singapore knows my podcast in a sense. They would have listened to it. And ironically, it sounds, there are some nurses who actually listened to it and then they went on to finish their career in nursing and then they leap off to digital marketing or they do something else. Yeah, so I was like, wow, if I can be the beacon to these people, and why not myself, right? So I told myself, okay, so then I started to pivot it to a business in a sense.
Right.
So I started to charge people premium rates to actually be on my podcast because I have been around for quite some time and there are so many people that are
And you have the numbers?
well known. Yeah. I also have the numbers as well.
And you have the numbers globally.
Yes.
Like out of your entire audience, right? What percentage is are Singaporeans?
Wow. Okay, Singaporeans is one of the top 10, but it is not a lot. It's like about 5 to 7%.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, Americans. So the top 3 that I can think of right now is America, Italy, France, and then Germany.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So all these we have, according to Spotify, okay, we have reached 101 countries
Nice.
globally. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, we include Southeast Asia, we include Japan, Korea, and there are people from Trinidad and Tobago, Congo, and whatsoever country. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't expect this, right?
Yeah,
I was like, wow. And I was really grateful that, people listen to it. And some of them, they even message me.
Yeah.
Wow.
PM me on Facebook, DM me on Instagram about the podcast, or when I met them face to face. So yeah, they and some of them even started their own podcast because of my podcast. Yeah, and last year, for example, I met up with one of my followers who turned friend.
Okay.
And she was so intrigued by my podcast, and then she started to have her own podcast, and then she invited me to be the first guest of her podcast.
Wow. Cool.
And she's based in Australia, Sydney. So I was like, wow, I'm so blessed.
Not that far.
Not that far.
About 6 hours.
Yeah, not that far.
So one of the inspiration behind our podcast is this podcast called The Passionate Few. Do you know The Passionate Few?
By who? Yeah.
Omar Ilata.
Oh, Omar Ilata. Yeah. Okay.
So do you think you can connect me with him? It would be awesome. But the thing is,
but he is off the grid for quite some time though.
yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
But he still sometimes is active on his social media because sometimes I still see him commenting and liking stuff. I think there was one post I tagged him and then he liked the comment or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
You must be happy, bro.
Yeah, of course. It's like that's the main inspiration behind this.
Oh, nice.
And it was because for him on his 8th episode he interviewed Grant Cardone. That's the reason why I feel like, hey, actually this podcast is actually something that we should seriously consider, especially if we are just starting out in business and if we are starting out in building our network.
Yeah. Podcast is always one of the better platform for us to actually grow our networks and also our personal branding, in my opinion. And to be honest, 2025 is the year for podcasts because besides the Daily Catch Up and Simon Boyce, their Rise and Shine, and all the other entertainment podcasts, I've seen so many podcasts coming about in 2025.
Left, right, center, bro.
Yeah, because
with
they saw
its own niche.
Yes, with its own niche.
That's a beautiful
Some
thing.
companies, they even come out with their own podcast within their companies itself, with their own people. Rather than they outsource to people like us, they have their own people to come out with their podcast. And even Tan Tock Seng Hospital has their own podcast.
Really?
Talking about nurses, about the shift work and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
You should check it out.
Yes, they are. And I was surprised.
Okay.
And can you
Tan Tock
imagine?
Seng.
Yeah, can you imagine if, let's say, hospitals came out with their own podcast, offices, companies,
Wow, of
SMEs.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
They have a voice.
That's the vision that I have with the industry. That's the reason why, like, one of our service is the podcast production. But honestly speaking, if we talk about hospital, I think it's a bit difficult.
No budget.
No, it's not about no budget. It's really about there are a lot of things that you really cannot talk about.
depends because they want to open it up, right? So they would, I would say they would discuss with the management, for
They
example.
that's the problem, because podcast is supposed to be authentic, right?
Yep.
But for them, they need to go through a certain layer of approvals and stuff.
Yeah, and confidentiality
chase.
as well, right? Not everything can be disclosed to public.
Yeah,
in a
because
sense.
if there are some things that I want to share, I may get sued. You know?
I
Yeah,
mean, you might not just don't need to mention the patient name.
No, it's not about patient.
It's about the management,
It's about the industry.
the
bro.
politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
not. I'm not only talking about nursing. I'm talking about the medical industry as a whole.
Yeah.
Right.
And
right,
medical industry, if you know how rich they are, they can just squash you just like that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
If you were to, at any point of time, just a hint of defamation, you are gone.
Oh, lawyer come ah.
Lawyer come, you can be bankrupt to the bones lah. Like, seriously,
Yeah. Correct.
yeah. Like, think about okay, because me going to the hospital that you work at, during my attachment, I see quite a number of interesting things.
Of course. how the patients were being restrained,
Yes.
how they pinned them down on the bed or whatever.
There was one time this patient, Chinese guy, quite tall, and then he always tell me, I know when is the exact call of prayer for Muslims,
Okay.
and then at the exact time he will do the call of prayer.
Oh.
At the exact time,
Wait, is
for
he Muslim?
us- no, he's not. And for us, we don't even know, bro. Like, maybe fasting month, maybe we know what time we break fast.
Yeah.
7:18, 7:19. For him on that dot, because I was there like the whole day, right? So like 1+ there is this prayer call timing. Exactly at that point of time, without any gadget or whatsoever, he just do the prayer call.
I think you look at the sun ah.
Bro, if you go inside there, you know there's no sun, bro.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah.
But
How do I
there's
put
a lot of interesting things, but
Yes.
there are also a lot of things that we really cannot say on record.
Yeah.
Right,
There are
right.
a lot of stuff that can't be said.
Yeah.
For example, olden days, what happened before that, when there's no CCTV,
Oh,
right?
yes.
All this stuff were there.
Yeah.
When there's no CCTV back then in the old days, what happened? No one knows, right? But I knew some stuff because I was told by my seniors.
Yeah. On top of that, the hospital that you work at, I think it still haven't really fully upgraded.
Oh no, it has been pretty much established in itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean there's cutting corners happening previously?
Way back, probably, yeah. But of course, there are people who were being, fired or being sued to court, and then you see their names or the stories on the newspaper. Yeah, that's how bad it can go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Because I was thinking financial industry is the same. You cannot share financial advice on podcasts. I mean, although you are certified, there are things that you cannot share, especially products and services.
Yep.
That is a MAS regulation.
Yes.
Yeah. So like even because I built websites for clients, right? They said everything needs to be approved by MAS.
Yeah.
So it's very troublesome. So podcast is worse. You need to go through a layer and layers of approval.
Yeah.
And it takes time. So like you are a very good example of like think local, act global. Because
Yeah.
for us we are still in the global in the
Local,
local niche. What is that step that move you to like encourage you to just go in the US side or even the global side of things?
When Gary Vee came,
Okay.
after Gary Vee came, a lot of people messaged me, asked me to interview their clients, or even like there's this guy. He is very renowned speaker in Singapore. His name is Dr. Patrick Liu. So he was the one who actually
Dr. Patrick Liu.
Oh, the one that wears spec.
wear specs and then wear suits.
Coat. Yeah.
So-
He's in our LinkedIn group, right?
Brand.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was the one who like texted me on Facebook like, so when are you going to interview me? They was like, oh, okay, okay, I know where this is going. And then I was like, okay. And then after that,
But you know him prior lah.
I knew about him prior, but we do not know one another so well.
Or have you guys at least spoke to each other before he asked you that question?
Probably yes. At Success Resources event.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I have someone who immediately out of nowhere, I don't even know who this person is, because when I meet people, I tend to know or at least remember the face. But this guy, I know I have never met him before. I think he is one of the new connections on my LinkedIn.
Oh.
Suddenly DM me, what exactly is it?
Hi. When are you going to interview me?
Just like that. Then I'm like,
There's
okay,
no
first of
proper
all,
greeting.
Yeah. Like there's no like, oh, your show is interesting, I would love to be on your show. You know, at least kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, if you say that way, so this is a tip, guys. If you want to be invited, just ask nicely. Don't be rude and just say, when are you going to interview me? Like I owe you a living like that.
Yeah, like as if the person is a celebrity or a 10. And then people are like, hey, I have this ego and I'm portraying this ego, And of course, I would say that when people want to be on podcasts, for example, yours, mine, or whatsoever, regardless whether are you a high status person or mid status in a sense, you got to ask nicely, because I believe we treat everyone the same or similar. I wouldn't say 100% same, but at least with similar respect, similar dignity and whatsoever. So I truly believe that, when you want to ask people for a podcast guesting or for someone to come on your podcast, you got to ask them in a very tactful way.
There's a etiquette that we had to follow, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a tip, guy. I mean, so the thing is, people of that status where they are celebrities or they are high profile individuals, right? They usually will have PR teams, and the PR teams will ask people nicely. So if you don't have that budget of having your own PR team yet, the very least is please just ask nicely.
Use ChatGPT.
Yes.
Just make ChatGPT ask nicely.
Yes.
And then just, send a DM to them, right?
Yeah, and then change the name. Don't forget.
Don't be like dear then bracket name. It's like at least try to be a bit more authentic even if you want to use AI lah.
Yeah.
Right. Before we end the first part, right? We haven't really touched on you honestly speaking, like considering doing podcast as a full time. Because you have been.
It has always been something that I want to do full time. So I'm giving myself some time. I wouldn't say the amount of time publicly, because when I don't achieve it, and then people are like, hey, you remember I saw you at Golden Nuggets, and then you said 3 years, 5 years, or whatever year, and then you didn't really make it. People will laugh at you and whatnot. So I have a number for myself.
Okay.
And I mean, right now we are still in a baby phase, I would say. Yeah, even though the podcast branding is pretty big in a sense, but business wise, it's still baby, infant stage. So I wanna build it up, and then once I manage to build it in a much bigger fashion, then I'll let people know.
Right.
So before you moving on to podcast full time, because now it's clear that you definitely have that plan, right?
Yep.
Is there anything else within the nursing industry that you want to achieve first?
Well, I want to achieve the 20,000 bonus.
That's like
3 years time.
Oh, is it? So they backdate?
No. So they stated like it will be 3 years time where you have 20K, and then after that follow up with I can't remember, was it?
I thought like
40K or something, and then it's eventually it will reach up to the 100K that they promised.
Yeah, but I thought it's like over 20 years, then they spread out like 5 years, something like that, right?
No. I saw that 3 years, and then after that they have 4 or 5 years or something like that. Then after that another few more years, then you get the
Okay. 20K is it?
Yeah, I mean, I can use that, and then I can apply for SME grants and whatnot, right? After that.
But not worth it for me if I were to go back to hospital. Not worth it. Not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on
It depends on
the
where
amount
you are.
that you're earning from the business itself.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you are in the industry, lah.
Yeah, and also depends on your priorities as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your responsibilities.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you have parents and all that you need to feed, then you're probably jumping out so fast might not be
Ideal.
ideal in a sense,
Yes.
because eventually I wouldn't say that there's always that what if, everyone says, hey, don't have that what if, but really what happens when you actually don't make it,
Yeah.
right? You would have told yourself, oh, my plan is to finish through
Yeah.
my podcast, make sure that it's ultra successful, right? And then next moment, shit, first year, second year, third year, you keep losing money.
Yeah.
Right.
And then fourth year, you tell yourself, no, this is the year. Allah, inshallah, this year will be the best. And then next moment, another setback. And then fifth year, and you how many years do you have, right? You're not Ronald McDonald, you're not Colonel Saunders, right? You're not gonna be 60 to 80 years old, then you become ultra successful, right? And that will be quite a pain in the ass.
Journey,
Yeah, it's going to be a very painful journey. So why not have something to help you along the way while you're still building it up, in a sense. Yeah.
Right. So let's wrap up the first episode, this show. I would like to learn more about your day-to-day life. Maybe
Day-to-day.
From there, we can share on the next episodes. Right?
Yes.
Stay tuned. Bye-bye.